Hello, I'm Ben. Welcome to the channel. So in this video, we're going to talk about 15 of the most expensive mistakes you can make, but we're also going to talk about kind of the foundation of what you need to even be discussing finance and mistakes and success in your own life. So I have some things I wrote down here. I'm going to read those to you real quick, and this will tell you a little bit about me, and you should probably get a piece of paper and write these things down for yourself. So I'm going to write down 4 to 5 things that are most important to you. And if they're most important to you, then you most likely are going to want to share these things with your family and try to give these goals and these suggestions to others as well, because this is how you measure success and happiness, okay? Because success and happiness go hand in hand. So when you talk about health is always, it's not on this list, but health should come number one with everything you do in life. You should try to keep yourself safe, and you should try to increase your health and being healthy every single day. So that goes outside of this list, but that is directly tied into any success you'll have on this list. So the 4 things I have written down here is the most important thing in my life is my salvation. Okay, my direct relationship with Jesus Christ is the most important thing in my life. It was the most important thing that I discovered this luckily at a young age, and I was able to sustain that and follow up with it my entire life. And because of that, it's given me a sense of power and a sense of courage where other people did not have that. The second thing is freedom. Everything else I do after my salvation is just and there, then the next thing I want to do is empower myself and support my individual freedom. Okay, so that means freedom from a work environment I don't like, freedom from people that I don't like, freedom from whatever it is that's limiting me and keeping me under in a situation that's under my definition of success. The third is gratitude. All right, when you live a grateful life and you're thankful for what you have, and you spend more time being thankful than you spend complaining, it yields you a happier life. So if you have salvation, then freedom, the next thing you want to do is make sure you have an attitude of gratitude, because when you do that, more people are going to be attracted to you. The laws of attraction, that's where that comes in. People like to be around people that are grateful more than they like to be around people that complain. So that freedom will get you to a point where you have more gratitude, because you'll spend more time being able to focus on the fact that you have what you want. And then the next thing I have written down, number 4, is sustainability. The only way to be successful at anything is to sustain how you do things and replicate that every day. If you sustain how you do things, the ripple effect and every other thing that comes up in science when you think about it, doing the right things first, being a big deal, how to not sweat the small stuff, every title you can read off of a leadership book or book about success comes back to this piece of sustainability. Even if you take one small step, Matt Carricker used to say, do one thing today will make you better tomorrow than you were yesterday. That's a fantastic quote. It's one of my favorites. Do something today that makes you better tomorrow than you were yesterday. It doesn't have to be a lot. You can eat a small meal that's better for you. You can drink more water. You can spend less time in front of the TV. You can take a walk. You can do all these things. Read a book. And these things will improve you day over day. Reading a book is a fine gift, I would tell you. The more you read, the better you are. Reading makes me feel better. And also, when you read, you realize there's nothing new in this world. The Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. When you read Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, you find out that in the last 2,000 years, nothing has changed. Life for him back then meant he was going to deal with the same problems we deal with today. So it's once you read that and you see that, you become better understanding about the fact that we live in a world that's going to regurgitate itself, and you're going to have to deal with time and time again. The next 2 things you want to do is define success, and you want to define joy. To have an attitude of gratitude and to feel free and to do these things, you're going to have a definition of success so you can attain it. You're going to have a definition of joy so you can attain it. And you want distinct long-term, and short-term goals to achieve all of these things on this list. So salvation, freedom, gratitude, sustainability, then divine success, divine joy. You want to have short-term and long-term goals to achieve all of these things on the list. So I'll leave that be. And if you're starting there, you're starting in a better place than most, okay? Because then you have a footprint. The only way you can move yourself forward is if you mark your starting line and then you start taking action daily to move yourself forward. So if you didn't write all that stuff down and you'd like to, pause the video here, rewind it back, listen to those things again and write those things down. Then maybe stay paused for a few minutes and write down what your goals are if they look like that, or you can copy those for now until you come up with something or something pops up that's more important. These things are important to me as an individual. That impacts me before family, before friends, before anything else. Those things I'm responsible for my own mental health and the health and the relationship that I have with my Lord and Savior and my God. So if you want to help others, you have to help yourself in defining these things, which will define you as an individual. Okay? Nobody else can define you as an individual. And the next thing I would say is make sure you're around good company. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Okay? You should always try to be around somebody that can teach you something. And the next thing is, if the people you're around aren't improving you, then you need to stop being around them. Be by yourself, be fine with solitude, and get away with them. Get away from those people that are dragging you down. I use the picture of a yoke, right? When you have a wife, you want to be evenly yoked. You want to be two people moving together with the same goals. When you have friends, it should be the same thing. They should be people that want the same type of success that you want. So you need to make sure how you define success, because if you don't know how you define success, then you don't know which kind of friends you should meet and what kind of people you should keep around you. So here are 15 of the most expensive mistakes you can make in life. So number one is living beyond your means. Your goal to be rich, in my mind, to be wealthy, is to own everything I have, not to have payments on things, not to have the highest interest rate on all these things, not to have the highest or newest anything. I buy most things secondhand. I never buy new vehicles because you take the worst appreciation hit with that. I don't buy new homes. I only buy a house that's maybe 20 to 30 years old. Because it's got good bones. Modern housing is crap and it's poor quality. So living beyond your means, buy groceries at a pace that you can afford them. Eat foods that you can afford. There's always something cheaper. Look what people did back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. If you look at how people lived back then and you replicate their foods and what they intook, you're going to make yourself healthier anyway. The modern stuff is all processed crap. So living beyond your means. If you need to get your spending under control, lock the card up at home. Take just cash. Give yourself a budget, $200 a week. If your car drinks $100 worth of gas, that means you got $100 left to do whatever it is you need to do in the week. If you do that and you pay yourself first, meaning you move, as soon as you get paid, you move money directly into savings, 30% if you can, 20% if you can, 10% if you can't do any better. But do that every single paycheck, every single time you get some money. Even if somebody gives you $100, if the 30% is what you're trying to make, then put $30 into savings and you put the rest into what you use, bills, etc. So number one is living beyond your means. Debt today steals your freedom tomorrow. So if freedom is on your list, things that you owe is a yoke around your neck. And a lot of times now they'll finance things for longer than they'll last. So you're just buying something that's going to be useless. I have a truck in my driveway that I've owned 24 years. It's a daily driver. I still drive it. It helps prevent a lot of problems. For instance, if you're dating and you're dating somebody that's a gold digger, if you drive up in an old school truck, they don't know that you've got a Lexus at home. They don't know that you've got something nice at home. They just see that. And if they're judging you based on that, fine, they can scat. You get what I'm saying? It does other things that are positive as well. And in the end, that old truck's a friend of mine. It's been around me for over 2 decades. I had that truck when I was dating my ex-wife. I had that truck when I was marrying my ex-wife. And I had that truck a decade later when I was driving home from the divorce. So those things may stay longer than everything else. So number 2 is not investing early. Time is your greatest wealth multiplier. This is a fact. If you take $10K and you deposit it and 40 years later you haven't touched it, by the time you retire, it'll be worth millions. If you're 50 or above and you can put $100K in the bank, then inside of 20 years, it can be worth $2 million. That's a fact just based on the law of averages from investing and from the stock market. Okay, so investing now, time is your greatest wealth multiplier. Put so much away each month or each pay period, and once you reach a certain amount, take that big chunk and invest it. And then continue the process over and over. Start it again. First for me, it was 10K. Then it was 100K. And so when you built up 10K, I would take that and invest as a chunk. Then when you build up 100K, I would take that and invest as a chunk. And because of that, I'm free. Okay? You don't have to stay enslaved to a job you don't like. You don't have to deal with toxic bosses that you can't stand or that treat you poorly, etc. So you'll have those situations will improve. So number 2 is not investing early. Number 3 is choosing the wrong partner. This is extremely, extremely important. If you don't go by what I said a biblical woman is, if you're a guy, for a lady, if you don't go what a biblical man is, look up the videos on the channel. I made one on each. If you choose the wrong partner, they can cost you everything. It can take you from being in a very good spot in life to having to start over. The other thing is, Jesus warned us, he was betrayed by Judas. He was betrayed by somebody that was in his inner circle. The worst betrayal you can get comes from a parent or a spouse. Okay? When a parent or a spouse betrays you, it can be devastating, beyond what you think you can get through. Some people that are already mentally challenged and having difficult things, and I don't mean from a retardation standpoint, I mean people that are mentally challenged in the fact that they don't have good mental health, they're not taking care of themselves. Something like a spouse cheating or a parent betraying you could be awful. It could be life-ending. So your partner matters. Who you marry matters. You want to be very deliberate in your selection process of a spouse. You don't want to waste time with a partner that's not equally yoked or evenly yoked with you either. If they don't meet those requirements, do not move forward with it. It's the best thing you can do for yourself. And use wisdom as learning from other people's mistakes. Do not make that mistake yourself, okay? It could cost you decades. Number 4 is not having a plan. Winging it in life leads to a lifetime of regret. Everything that you have that's important to you, you need to have regular short-term and long-term goals that you're reviewing weekly and monthly. And then annually, probably on your birthday, I do it on my birthday, I sit down, I look at everything that I was using as goals for last year, I compare it to what I'm going to do for the next year, and I'd make changes accordingly. Okay, so if you don't have a plan, failure to plan is planning to fail. Okay, so have a plan. Number 5 is poor health habits. Good health is priceless. Neglect it and pay later. So if you're saving and you're putting stuff away and you're not taking care of your health, just in time where you can actually have the money and play with it, your health is going to fail. So you're going to use all that money that you were going to enjoy later to fix your health problems. You don't have to do extravagant things to improve your health. Getting up every couple of hours and walking around and getting some exercise, drinking 2 gallons of water a day or a gallon of water a day, eating foods that grow other than foods that are processed. So things that grew on a tree or in a bush, fruits, vegetables, meat, that's what you should be eating often to help give you better health. 6, not taking risks. Staying safe can be the riskiest mistake. That is a fact. So you're going to have to take some risk in life. Just like what we said about a spouse earlier, picking the wrong person, there's a little bit of risk there. Hanging out with the wrong friends, there's a little bit of risk there. Investing, there's a little bit of risk there. You can typically gauge things in your investments from a riskier to a safer type investments. Pick accordingly. Okay? At the end of the day, the more consistent you are across the page, the more even your life is going to run. Okay? So one of those is not taking risks. Number 7 is chasing status, not wealth. In my life, I've always focused more on wealth than it was status. I buy all my clothes with the exception of my socks and my underwear. I buy all my clothes secondhand. I buy everything I own secondhand for the most part. All of my books, all of my library and my study, everything in my house pretty much is secondhand with the exception of taxidermy, my television, and my mattress. I can't think of much else. So chasing wealth, or chasing status and not wealth. Looks fade, wealth lasts. Number 8 is poor money management. Bad habits keep you poor no matter how much you earn. I said earlier how you can go on a cash-only system to better benefit you. Not making a judgment on how much you want to put away and not being deliberate about that and not keeping yourself to that. That could be a problem. Living outside of your means, right? Instead of renting a trailer 30 miles away, you rent an expensive apartment in the city. You can pay $500 a month less in rent, and you can put that $500 away. Do things like that for the long term. You won't save for situations as you get older, you get married, and you have children. So right now you can live in a squattier place and not have much. So poor money management, bad habits will keep you poor no matter how much you earn. Keeping up with the Joneses, I said before, people upgrading their lifestyle every time they get pay raise, people living and buying designer clothes and then saying stuff stupid enough like you can only wear something once. That is lunacy. No one lives like that. If someone tells you they're living like that, they're false. There's nothing true about them. Okay, number 9 is staying in the wrong job. Time is wasted and the opportunity may be lost forever. So staying in the wrong job. Wrong job can mean you're not getting enough pay. It can mean you're treated poorly. You're not seen for your value. It can mean you're dealing with a toxic boss, and so it impacts your health, so you're going to have issues later. If you're in a bad place in a wrong job, get out of there. I was in a job that I loved one time, but the boss that I had at the time was the most toxic individual I ever met in my life. This person was in my way every single day. He was in the way of everybody else on his team every single day, and he did everything he could to make sure he was jacking up everything you did, and then he would try to judge you according to that when he forced you to do things his way instead of yours. That's a miserable life. He made everyone on his team miserable. He made everyone that worked, I'll say in that division, everyone hated it. When that person got gone, career paths lasted a lot longer. People were a lot happier, and they took better care of their customers and their shareholders. Number 10, not learning continuously. The world changes fast. Stagnation is expensive. So read. I say that all day, every day. Read books when you can. Read periodicals often. Read articles often. On your social media, it's very easy, like on LinkedIn and on Facebook, to get articles around the business. Whatever work life you're in, get periodicals and letters and articles on those, so you can stay abreast of what's going on and you can keep yourself tuned up very well. Number 11 is surrounding yourself with the wrong people. Wrong influences lead to costly destinations. I've told you that before. We've gone on that before, so I won't hammer that too much longer. Number 12, ignoring multiple income streams. One income is a weak foundation. One income is a weak foundation. When it comes to income streams, you don't have to use a lot of risk. Okay, but investing is the easiest way to make money, and the sooner you invest and the longer you let it sit, the more money you're going to make. Stock market averages in the long term typically outpace every other investment you can make. A lot of people are making money with crypto. More people are losing money than making it. That's a fact. Okay, so bet on things that have been proven and are proven, and stick with that. Be consistent in your expectations and in your participation there. 13 is emotional spending. It feels good now, but it hurts later. That's dating the wrong people. That's spending time with the wrong friends. That's staying in the wrong job. You know how you feel. If on Sunday night you cannot sleep because you're dreading Monday morning, you need to fix that as soon as possible. Okay? Nobody's meant to live that way. It's better to work a job with less reputation where you can feel some joy and feel some fulfillment and have a team that's supportive. Those things are healthier for you in the long run, will put you in a better mental place in the long run, and also you will flourish more. You will learn more because your brain will say, I'm safe here, I'm comfortable here, people care about me here, so you'll be able to expand there. Holding on to past mistakes. The past is expensive. Let it go and move on. I can't say it better than that. It's very simple. Until the day you die, you will make mistakes every single day. Even as a Christian, God gives us the leeway to sin. He tells us repent often. We're expected to sin because people fail. It is what it is. So why should anything else be any differently or perform any differently? So don't hold on to mistakes. Forgive yourself and move on. And if it's because you're in the wrong group with the wrong people, then cut those people off and get out of there. And the last one is not defining your purpose. A life without purpose leads to a lifetime of emptiness. That is a fact. There's no better way to say it. Give yourself short-term and long-term goals, or how you define that purpose and how you attack it. If you like this, please like, please subscribe, please share. I'm Ben. Be good.